It is the Behind the Book sports betting series from the Aria Hotel. The lovely Aria, brought to you by the Play MGM app. Jay Root, Vice President, Race and Sports, MGM Resorts International. Gil Alexander from the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Jay, welcome to my living room.
Your living room. I was going to say, we're here. I see your slippers are over there, and your smoking robe is sitting over there on the couch.
My blankie.
So, yeah, your blankie, your whoopee.
Yeah,
all good.
That here. This is where I watch football on the weekends. My home away from home.
It's not a bad place.
Celebrities.
You got pizza right next door.
Oh,
good pizza.
So good, too.
Yeah.
Celebrities walking around. Jackie Jackson, oldest of the Jackson 5. Watched the game with him.
I heard that
on
last
Saturday.
week. Yeah, that's what Jeff was saying.
Yes, indeed. A-list, only A-list.
Right.
We're going to go through, of course, the championship games. Jacksonville at New England and the Vikings at the Eagles. You ready to do this?
Yes, let's do this.
Championship
We
week.
got the turnover chain behind me here. It's good to go.
Is that what that is? It's the NFL Championship Week. Behind the Book, right here from the Aria at MGM Resorts International. Behind the Book from the Aria right here on the beautiful Las Vegas Strip. Gil Alexander from VSiN, the star of the show. Jay Root, Vice President, Race and Sports, MGM Resorts International. Looking very good today, by the way.
I think you like that, yeah.
A suit
It's a
befitting
great
your
shirt,
title.
too. I like this shirt. It's very nice.
Look very good.
Yeah, this is by the men's shop here at Aria. I mean, they suit me up and make me look good.
Good plug for them. Jacksonville at New England to kick things off on Championship Sunday. 3:05 p.m. Eastern, Foxborough time kickoff for this one. The Patriots, 9-point favorites in this one. Jacksonville here by virtue of their efforts. Blake Bortles was very good. People want to disparage
Leonard
Blake
Fournette
Bortles.
was pretty good, too.
Leonard Fournette, big game for him. The real thing, though, Pittsburgh just absolutely with terrible in-game decisions from the coaching staff. 4th and 1s where they don't sneak. Kicking an onside kick late when you still had 2 timeouts and a 2-minute warning. But Jacksonville gets here. They get it done. There were other mistakes, too, but we don't have enough time to get into those. Jacksonville's here. No one thought they'd be here, and for their efforts, they get the Patriots.
And they get the Patriots, yeah. I mean, classic matchup. Everyone saw this coming, far away down the road. I said when Jacksonville was actually playing really well, weeks 9, 10, 11, they looked really good. That the Patriots probably don't want to see this team in the playoffs. I think this team has got a defense that is good enough to really give Brady and the Patriots some fits. And I think they're just blissfully ignorant to the fact that they maybe shouldn't be here.
Right.
So that they're not going to get caught up in it. And I think that, if they go in there and they can contain themselves, I think they can make this a little bit of a game.
Playing with proverbial house money, nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
I think that's probably true. Here's the thing with the Patriots defense. 30th in advanced stats, dead last. Well, not dead last, there's 32 teams, but 30th out of 32 teams in terms of yards given up per drive this season. 30th. 6th in terms of points per drive given up. Now, never since, in a span from 1993 to 2016, has there ever been a team that was worse than 26th in yards per drive given up that's even been in the top 10 best of points per drive. So this is the ultimate bend, don't break defense.
Yeah, right, absolutely. I mean, that's what you're going to need in this particular matchup, I think.
Yeah. As it is now, Patriots -9, total at 46.5. The big question for you then, is that 9 going to get to 10? And if it gets to 10, do the Sharps come in and grab it immediately?
I don't know if it'll get to 10. I think it'll get to 9.5. And I think 10 is going to be the touch point where I know I'm going to be able to get money back. I think Sharps definitely come in and take the 10. The Sharps loved the 7.5 last week in the Steeler game.
Yeah.
I stayed on 7.5. I juiced it up. We did the double vig. I even went to vig and a half, minus 125. And it kind of looked like I was going to be happy that maybe I had that hook left on there at the very end, because obviously we had way more public money on Pittsburgh on game day than we did the Jacksonville. But as it turned out, we still did very well in that game. But in this particular matchup, we're going to be big Jacksonville fans, which I'm not, normally 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, holy cow.
Right.
Those are the teams I get to root for all the time. Jacksonville, the Browns, the Rams.
God help you.
Yeah, but in this particular spot, I'm pretty happy being a Jacksonville supporter here. And we had some late breaking news that maybe Brady has a little bit of a problem with his throwing hand, so
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there.
We're doing this on a Wednesday during the week. Brady jamming up his hand in practice. A little bit of subterfuge. No one knows exactly what's going on. Right now, though, the Patriots saying, no problem.
Ice him up.
Ice him up. Get in there, Tommy. Jacksonville, 9-point dogs at New England. The first 2 games, championship week in the National Football League this Sunday. Behind the book, my favorite segment, Jay, Ask the Pro. I love this. It's Gil Alexander from Visa and Jay Root, Vice President, MGM Resorts International. I'm going to say that title every single time.
I know. I think they get it. They got it.
So great. All right, before we get to Ask the Pro, I should mention all of this brought to you by the Play MGM app, rather.
Yeah.
Jay, it took me 10 seconds to download this, and then I bet at my leisure from anywhere I wanted to. It was fabulous.
That's the point. I mean, that's the reason we built this thing is, you're supposed to come up, should be a seamless opportunity to enroll. In fact, our next version is going to be even better.
Really?
You're going to be able to enroll on the app.
Oh.
And then all you have to do is go to the counter and say, hello, here's my MLife number. This is my ID. I am who I am. Load some funds and away you go.
Wow.
Bet
Away you go.
Bet as you will.
Bet as you will. Here's the thing, and if you're just coming into town for a spell, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get the app. You should get the app because then you avoid all these crowds that will be here inevitably for championship week and beyond. Super Bowl, of course.
Right. Especially if your spell is going to last, 3 or 4 days, and you don't want to have to come down to the book all the time, and your significant other maybe has you booked doing other things where you just want to sit in the lap of luxury in the Aria Race and Sports Book and watch sports.
Not that that's ever happened to you, Jay,
You
apparently.
might be out being drugged down to the pool or to a nice restaurant, or even worse, going shopping.
Yeah. Well, the point of all that was to sign up for the Play MGM app, for
Absolutely.
God's sakes. Ask the Pro, you ready?
Ask Pro, let's go.
All right, here's the question from the Twitterverse, Jay. You love the Twitterverse.
I love the Twitterverse.
You guys have mentioned in-game wagering on the show a couple of times, and it sounds pretty great. Can you elaborate on what it's all about and how we noobs, that's a millennial word, noobs, I think they mean newbies, might go about getting involved? What do you say to that?
Well, yeah, the first thing you got to do is download the app.
Download
In order to do in-game, you have to do it on the app. And yeah, I mean, in-game, the in-game on the Minnesota game last week was going nuts. And
Wow.
I was managing the in-game lines in the back. So, we're going from covering to losing to winning to, going back and forth. Do I need to draw more money on Minnesota to try to cover my position? So I was managing the in game, and the in game can be wild, as you know. I mean,
yes.
The numbers go anywhere from, that game you were probably getting maybe 18.5 or 19 with the Saints at one point in game, to probably laying a 1.5 with the Saints at one point.
Yeah.
The total is probably going all over the place because the dead under in the first half, it looked like a dead under. So yeah, I mean, the end game is where it's at. It's really exciting, and it gives you the opportunity to, maybe improve or strengthen your position or get off a bad position.
That's right. If you make a pre-flop bet, a pre-game bet that is, on, say, the line, then you can do what Jay just said, sort of manage that with an in-game wager at some point. And you were saying, halftime of that New Orleans-Minnesota game, you were getting nothing, even down 17-0, you were getting nothing but New Orleans money.
Yeah, it was, I mean, they were doubling down on New Orleans at that point, and I can't blame them, really. I mean, hindsight, obviously.
Right.
We opened pick. We opened pick mainly because they looked so poor. The Minnesota defense was playing so well, and it was just kind of a reset of the whole game at that point, is what we thought. But obviously, we were a little off. I probably should have put a little bit of a hook on the Saints, and I would have drawn all the money on Minnesota from all the sharps, and I could have drained a couple of their pockets, and I would have felt no remorse about that whatsoever.
You're a little manipulator, aren't you?
That's what you got to do. Got to put us in a position to win and maximize our profit and minimize our loss.
No one likes you to win. No one. Play MGM app. That's how you do all the in-game wagering. All the questions each and every week. Jay, happy to answer them. Ask the Pro right here on the Behind the Book series. Back on Behind the Book, Jay Rood, Gil Alexander. It is time to get into props. Jay, it is that time of the year. Usually this is typically associated with the Super Bowl. That's where props have gotten their real fame. But we're in 2018. Not sure if you're aware of this.
Yeah.
We do
Brand new
props,
year.
or you do props here every week, really, and then you step it up come playoff time. So you've got a really solid menu of props for championship weekend.
Yeah. So we do props on the Thursday night game, on the Sunday night game and on the Monday night game, and occasionally if we have a really compelling college football game or a really compelling pro game that's on the regular slate on Sunday, we'll do that as well. But yeah, we put a full couple of sheets of props, with various different ones on here that offer a little bit of value for your more bang for your buck in certain areas.
More bang for your buck. What is your single? What would you say if I asked you your single most popular prop? What would it be?
Oh,
typically?
easily. First player to score a touchdown.
First player to score a touchdown. Let's give an example of that in the Minnesota Vikings Philadelphia Eagles NFC Championship game. The short shot to score first.
Yes.
Latavius Murray at 5-1. Adam Thielen then at 6-1. Then you have a host of players at 8-1. The longer shots on the board, Nick Foles, quarterback of the Eagles, at 25-1. Case Keenum, Vikings quarterback, at 30-1. No touchdown scored whatsoever, 40-1.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a low total.
It's a low total. That's why it's down a little bit. I mean, a lot of times that's more up around 75, 100-1.
Yeah.
In the Patriot game, it's 75-1 and no touchdown scored. It's kind of difficult, but I mean, there's been games that have been pretty short in the playoffs, but in the playoffs, you tend to see a little bit more movement on the first touchdown. I mean, there's been a couple of games where we've gotten to the end, in the fourth quarter, and we're because it gets bet. No touchdown scored. As unlikely as it is, it still gets bet and it accumulates a lot of liability.
You get some handle. Now, of course, the total in this game is at 38. We have a total points scored prop where you can actually bet on the point range. So
right.
0 to 10 points, as you might imagine, that's a long shot at 40-1, 11 to 17, 15-1, and then there's sort of the point where it's at its shortest, which is right around that game total,
right.
38 to 44 at 3-1, and then as the point total increases, it rises again. Popular?
Popular, yeah,
and correlated in a way with the game total, depending on your conviction.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think like a short total like this, 38 is going to far exceed that, there's some value here. If you have the 79 or more, it's 20-1. And what you can do, rather than just going over the 38.5, you could Dutch 2 or 3 of these.
Dutch. And
Dutch means you pick 2 or 3 of them, and you make equal unit bets on all of them, and you're basically bringing 20-1, 15-1, and 13-1 down to a common denominator of maybe 14, like 7-1 or something like that. So you're getting a much better value, although you do have a gap there between 38 and whatever your lowest Dutch number is, where there's a danger zone.
You're not suckering us into some of these, are you, Jay?
No, I'm just pointing out that there's possibly some, nice value on some of these plays.
Let's do one last one here, because some of these are instant gratification. Will there be a score in the first 5 minutes and 30 seconds of the game? Yes is the heavy dog at plus 240. The no is the chalk, the prohibitive chalk at minus 300.
Yeah, and then, obviously that particular prop is correlated sort of to the total as well,
a low total.
A higher total, but 530 goes really quick, and when you think about it, how many times does 3 and out happen fairly quick? And in these games, a touchback usually occurs on the first kickoff, and the success rate from a run from the 20 to the touchdown on that first drive is pretty low. So
you've thought this through.
That's why it's priced that way. I mean, when you see a total in baseball that's 5.5. People bet under for a reason.
Yeah, they do. Cross-sport parlays, you'll save to the Super Bowl. You can bet on anything. Props, in-game. What a country this is. Play MGM app is the app to sign up for, and all of these props available through the app as well, right here on Behind the Book. Back on Behind the Book, all this talk about in-game wagering and props, the Patriots and the Jaguars. We have neglected the Vikings and the Eagles. The Vikings, 3.5-point road favorites at Philly. After what we saw on Sunday, Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs drawing dead, 61 yards with no time left on the clock. We almost forget that the Eagles had a great performance as dogs against the Falcons. 3.5, where do you see this line going?
I mean, we're taking a lot of Eagle money right now from the Sharps. Obviously, 3.5 plus 0.5. That means, we opened this 3.5 flat. So Sharps are taking the Eagle money right now and the points with them. Rightfully so. I mean, the Eagles played the kind of game they needed to play, almost opposite of what the Pittsburgh Steelers did.
Yes.
The Eagles played within themselves. They knew what they wanted to do. They went out and executed it. I think probably Atlanta helped them a little bit by not utilizing Jones and being aggressive enough. But that's kind of been the case all year, I think.
When you win a game like the way the Vikings won that game, and there's some historical precedents.
Magical carpet ride.
Magical carpet ride. They're going to go with the Minneapolis Miracle instead of that, by the way.
Yeah.
But Music City Miracle back in the day when Tennessee won that game against Buffalo, the next week they were big dogs. They crushed their opponent. That Joe Flacco game where he threw the bomb to tie it up at Denver in 2012. The next week, the Ravens, huge dogs. They won the game in the playoffs. The Tuck Rule, the game after that, New England won that huge as big dogs. Now, I get that the Vikings are favorites here, but when you win a game in such amazingly dramatic fashion, you got to feel like it's the loosest feeling in the world. What
like
could possibly beat us?
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, I can understand that here. I mean, they came in with. They were just, but usually that's a flat game. In college football, I mean, you would say they're going to come out flat. But I think in pro football, I think that sort of
galvanizes.
Yeah, galvanize. Absolutely, great
thank
term.
You.
Yes,
well,
but
thank you, John.
I can absolutely see that happening here. But I think this is going to be a really compelling game because you have the Eagle team that is played great and are just missing their leader.
Yeah.
And Foles is stepping up to fill that spot. Hopefully he can at least make it so that it's competitive.
All right, Mr. Bookmaker, final question.
Yes.
Depending on who advances, 4 permutations, what are the lines? Patriots, Eagles, Patriots, Vikings, Jaguars, Vikings, Jaguars,
I mean,
Eagles.
if it's Pats, Phillies, I think, you're going to see something in the neighborhood of 7.5 to 8.5, which could be short, depending on the performances. All this depends on the performance. Jacksonville, maybe like 2.5 to Philly is what I'm thinking. I think the one game that you're going to see the biggest difference of opinion on is probably the Patriots and Minnesota. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked that Minnesota could actually be favored in the Super Bowl over the Patriots, but they're at home. They're going to be on their magical carpet ride, coming off the Minnesota Miracle. I mean, it could be just something of destiny kind of happening there. And then obviously Jacksonville, Minnesota, I think, which is the TV coverage would cringe if that's actually going to happen, but Minnesota will probably be about 4.5 in that, I think.
And the reason that there's be some difference of opinion on the Vikings is because if the Vikings do advance to Super Bowl 52, it will be the first time ever that a team plays the Super Bowl in their home stadium, and we'll talk about that next week, how much value you put on that in a corporate environment like the Super Bowl.
Right. It's obviously not going to be, they're not going to be doing that, and there's not going to be, the guy, the Viking running around as predominantly as it is when it's a regular home game. It might be a little bit more sterile for him.
For Jay Ruth, Vice President of Racing Sports at MGM Resorts International, Gil Alexander from VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. This is Behind the Book, brought to you by Play MGM app. Good luck with all your bets this weekend, championship week in the NFL.